your body, baby, from dusk till dawn. You don't need experience to turn me out. You just leave it all up to me. I'm gonna show you what it's all about. You don't have to be rich to be my girl. You don't have to be cool to rule my world. Ain't no particular sign I'm more compatible with, or just what's your extra time and your kiss. You gotta not talk dirty, baby, if you wanna impress me. You can't be too flirty, mama. I know to undress me.
In the
Hello.
flesh, wake up the children, wake up the neighbors. Janet Devlin is back on the show.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me back.
How are you doing, Janet? Look at you.
I'm good. I'm just a little bit sick, but not COVID. Just a little cold.
Isn't it funny how now we have to say that?
I know, literally.
So just a normal cold, of course. Where are you coming to us from, Janet?
I come from England. Woo.
England. I love it. You know, Janet, we were doing the math yesterday. It's been almost a year and a half since we last had you on the show.
What?
I know. A year and a half. A year and 5 months.
Wow.
I
That's
know.
a lot. I've
It
even moved
is.
house since then.
But you know what? We have so much to get to. Obviously, your new single, your forthcoming EP, and so on, your YouTube show, you're kicking butt in major ways. But first of all, Janet, like you look amazing. You look great.
Thank you so much. Nothing a
Yeah.
little bit of makeup and some good natural lighting can't fix, you know what I mean?
All right. You're so humble, right? Listen, it's the genes. It's the genes for sure, Janet. But yeah,
Oh,
look,
thank
I
you.
mean, when we last talked, it was last June, and of course, you were coming out with this like not only an album, which we loved, Confessional. We rocked it like all summer last year, but you also came out with a book, right? A super personal book, amazing book as well. So I guess after such a, the question would be, yeah, there she is. After such a prolific like time, Janet, where you're like unleashing this project after another, all great. You know, how do you start a new project, right? And the reason why I ask is we've talked to some guests and they always say it's a little bit scary to be in that void.
Mm. Yeah, I think for me, I always just knew that after Confessional, and I literally said it for so long to my team. I was like, I want to do something that's not that deep. I want to do something that's not that deep. I just want to like make art. I want to go through my old catalog and put out things that I've loved that just never had a home. And literally, I just kept saying it. Then that's literally how the EP got its name, because I sat in my manager's office and I was like, why don't I just call it It's Not That Deep? And then there's no rules for this whole EP. I can just put anything I want on it for whatever, like literally for no reason. If I like the song, that's enough of a reason, because it's literally not that deep. So this project was just, it just kind of came to be in and of itself. But just because of how laid back and lackadaisical it was, it's just been so fun to just make art. And I was so glad I just kind of jumped head first and started doing it, instead of getting myself bogged down and panicking and things like that. I just went straight in.
You know, that makes perfect sense, right? Because you've become like this, you know, you're like so, you know, wise beyond your years, and you've become like a voice for like your fan. Yeah, you're, by the way, you're like 600 years old in maturity. I should say that. Janet is 600 years old, guys, in case you guys didn't know. But yeah, so that makes perfect sense. Like, you know, like you've talked about really heavy subjects, almost ahead of
Yeah.
its time, like mental health and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, absolutely, like something completely like to cleanse the palate. That makes total sense.
Yeah, and it just kind of, because of where I want to go next, like I want to go to country next. So it just kind of felt like to me, yeah, like a perfect palate cleanser, just like a bunch of things that I wanted to do and just enjoyed and wanted to put out, like, because at the end of the day, that's all it really should be about, really. You know, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be like a big album with a book and really deep and dark, but I needed to put that album out so that I could just be my true authentic self. And that, if I ever did write a song about my alcoholism, like a country song, then I could just do it. And like people already knew about my demons and my secrets and stuff. So then it just like leaves me now as an open book to write about whatever the heck I want to write about.
I love it. By the way, we moved since we last talked. We moved our show to Nashville. So whenever you do the
Oh,
country thing, you have like already you have a support system in Nashville. Okay, just so you know.
woo!
Okay.
Amazing.
So Janet, like, where do you go when you want to like recharge? Like when you want to when what is like your space where you want to craft a new song, where you're stuck on a lyric,
Mm.
where you are like feeling a little dour? Do you work out? Like, what is your creative like recharge space?
So I have a few things because of my mental health issues. Like I have a few different kind of coping mechanisms. Like if I'm having a bad day, there's some days where I just can't do anything, and I'm not afraid to admit that, where it's like I've hit a wall, like today's not my day. And as someone who suffers with some of the things that I suffer with, like I sometimes can't put myself in harm's way. Sometimes, and I would literally just spend a day like that in bed, and
Mm.
I'd be on a TikTok and just kind of getting ideas, all that kind of stuff. That's a really bad day. Most of the time, I just try my best to like get up and go to the gym and work out. It's very, very good for me. For whatever reason, it just seems to work really, really well. For helping me cope. But as far as like the creative process and things, it totally varies. Honestly, like I think for me, the quickest way I work is by just putting myself in a songwriting session with someone else, because I have the attention span of a small rodent.
Mm.
And if I'm put in a room with someone, then they hold me accountable and I end up, finishing the song. When it comes to just working from home, I'm lucky and I'm blessed to have like a little mini home studio going on over here. Which means that like, yeah, I can just set up a session and just work away from this room. Sometimes you just can't be bothered and you just sit in bed and you get your iPhone dictaphone out.
Yeah.
It all varies. Some days are easy, some days aren't. And you just try your best.
Love it. Love it, Janet. And let me ask you about your alcoholism for a second, because we really didn't talk about it last year that much, but I think you're going on like 1,000 and like 100 days sober, something like that,
Something like that.
which is
Yeah.
like amazing. Congratulations, first of all, that is
Thank you.
amazing. Janet, if you don't mind sharing, and you can share as little or as much as you want, but what was like the low point? Like, what was the breakthrough point, where you really had like the breakthrough of like enough?
So I used to think that the first time I had enough was, a few years ago, whenever I had like a really, really bad spot drinking again, and my team were over it. I was over it. Like everyone had quit at that point, and it was fair because I'd put them through the ringer so many times, and that last breaking point was when I got into recovery. But I relapsed 3 years after that. And I think that for me was my true breaking point. It wasn't like my lowest, my darkest relapse or anything by that means. But what had happened the second time around was I was actually drinking and taking benzodiazepines, which is a deadly concoction. And a lot of people have died, like even some singer-songwriters have died that way. And I think for me, that was my personal wake-up call, where it was like, you're because I wasn't drinking as heavy and as bad as I was in the past, but it was what it symbolized. Like I was
Yeah,
really putting my life in danger, and I was doing it so flippantly, like I just really didn't care.
right,
And it's a very scary place to wake up and realize that you are dancing with death on the constant and you don't care. Like because you should care about your life. You should be excited to live. You should be happy to wake up and all of these things that I just didn't have. And the first time around in my recovery, like I didn't address any of my other issues, because it's not just alcohol for me. It's self-harm, it's anorexia, it's bulimia, it's a bunch of other things that are also a part of it. And I never got the help for those things. So basically I took all my mortgage money that I'd saved up, which was a humble amount, but it was about 13 grand that I'd managed to save up, and I was, very proud of myself. But I had to take that money, all of it, every single penny, and borrow some, and go to rehab. And that is whenever my life changed for the better.
Yeah.
Because from that point on, I actually got sober. Like I wasn't popping benzos, I wasn't relapse, like I haven't relapsed with food or anything like that. So for me, that was my, not my lowest point, but just kind of when I realized that I had to make a difference, basically.
Yeah, amazing. What a great story, Janet. And I think on a lighter note, on like that story, but on a lighter note, you've talked on TikTok about like dating when you're like, don't drink, right?
Yes,
That's such a great
yeah.
clip. Do you mind sharing with my audience like a little bit about that experience?
Oh, it's just the funniest thing ever. And especially if you're Irish, people just expect you to drink like a lot. And I mean, it's not wrong because I did. So, just dating as an alcoholic is just kind of one of the funniest experiences of my life. Like there have been times where I've turned up to a date and they've tried to be sweet and they've already ordered me a glass of like rosé, and they're like, a guy literally put a glass of rosé in front of me. Is like, I know ladies love rosé, and I was like,
Not this one. Not this
not this
lady,
one,
dude.
my guy. Like I used to. So I've just had so many just awkward experiences. I definitely have had it where like there was a few sad experiences as well. Like I once started dating this guy, and I swear to God, I thought he was the love of my life, and we got on like so well, and everything was perfect. And the only thing that was not perfect was his alcohol consumption. Like when I say he drank a lot, he drank a lot,
Yeah.
right? And there was very rarely weekends where we weren't together and he wasn't drinking. So that came to a point where I had to just be like, I can't be in this relationship anymore. Like I can't do it.
Yeah.
And that was definitely one of those moments where it's like I probably for the rest of my life in my head I was like, I'm probably going to say that this is the one that got away forever. Because I can't explain the chemistry, but there was a lot of chemistry there. So
Yeah.
it's ups and downs.
You know what? It just wasn't. It was part of the journey, and it was like
Yeah.
not meant to be. Basically, it was to show you all like some parts of what you want, but like yeah, you can't have that for sure. For sure,
Yeah.
Janet. Okay, so you this year you went back on the road finally. You've been back in front of your fans. You've been back singing. Actually, you recently finished a pretty long leg. You played Birmingham, London, a whole bunch of stuff. Tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about the first show back, Janet. Just like, were you nervous? What did you
Mhm.
wear? Like, just what do you remember from that first show this year back?
The first show is like a mixture of all things. So I was obviously petrified, so scared, so afraid. You've always got these fears in your head that like, oh, I don't know that song well enough, or I don't know this, and it's like a lot of things I have to digest and memorize, and you're just scared. And like there was a plus side, like my friend, I made loads of friends through TikTok. We're all TikTokers and we all get on really well. And they all came. So there was like 20 of my friends there, and they had a few drinks and they were pretty rowdy, but it was just like the loveliest feeling to have like my mates in the audience, but then also like I call my fans my friends as well, like, and to have them in the audience was just like the most heartwarming feeling. The venue was full, like it was unreal, like genuinely, especially like when you've spent so long being locked up in your house and away from people, because even though I don't tour often, like I still do like on and off gigs here and there. So to go from playing no gigs to just jumping straight in at the deep end and trying to manage like a rowdy crowd was
Right.
it was interesting to say the least. Like so I was definitely petrified. Like I just remember the nerves, and I for stage wear I wore like these massive flares, these black velvet flares with
Nice.
these like Stevie Nicks style
Yes.
sleeves on my top, and it just meant that like everything you do had movement, because like I didn't know how big stages were going to be, and it's like important that you can still carry a gig with movement in your arms and things like that.
Mm,
So like I just opted for flary top, flary bottoms, and
nice.
some chains.
Love that. Love that, Janet. Amazing. By the way, you're like a low key fashion icon. I'm just gonna say it. Like I'm gonna say it for you. Like kind of low key. You don't know that yet, but you are. Um, okay. I wanna play a little game with you before we leave, but I have to ask you about the Prince cover, Kiss. Right? Did it lose you?
Ooh.
Do I have you? There you
Sorry,
are.
you broke up there for a sec.
All good, all good, all good, all good. Yeah. So anyway, so I want to play a little game with you before you leave, but we have to talk about Prince, and we have to talk about
Mhm.
that wonderful cover of Kiss that you released, right? So just
Yeah.
share with us a little bit, like, you know, your relationship with Prince, which I know runs creatively deep, and why did you pick this song?
Um, so I just always loved the song. I just always did. It used to be like my go-to going on a date, kind of like having a shower song. Like, because it's like the perfect amount of like flirty and like upbeat, and it's like the kind of energy, you want to carry into dating or
Totally.
whatever. And I just loved it. It used to just bring my mood up so much. And I used to even work out to it and stuff like that. Like I love the song. Um and it's one of those ones where it's like, oh, you can never do a cover of that because like how would that even work? But like in the back of my head, like I was like, that would, because lyrically it can still be quite pretty.
Yeah,
And I was like, I really want to make that a stripped down song. Like I want to turn it into like a country number. And my goal with like the sonics of it and like the arrangement really was like I wanted to imagine the most hipster couple in the world, what they would dance to for their first dance. So that was it. Like that's what my goal was, to create like a first dance hipster song. And I think it turned out quite well for what I wanted it to be. It's done
definitely.
better than I expected. And I still laugh to this day. Like when I told my manager, we were in the session because I was taking a bunch of songs up that I wanted to rework. And I was like, I really want to do a cover of Kiss by Prince. And he's like, that's not gonna work.
Oh yeah, I mean it's risky, but you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, but literally within like 10 seconds of singing it, he was like, oh, paint me wrong. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it was nice. Like I just love the song, you
I
know.
mean, yeah, you're amazing at covers. Like, really, no one does covers like you, Janet. But okay, thank you so much. You've been so good with your time. I want to play a little game with you before you leave. It's
Okay.
called Flip the Tune. Okay, and the rules are
Uh,
simple. The rules are we're gonna play three songs, 10-second clips, three 10-second clips of your songs in
yeah.
reverse,
Okay.
and we want to just know how well you know your own songs. That's it.
Okay. So I just have to name the song.
Yes. See if you recognize it.
Okay.
Okay. You
Oh
cool?
good. Yeah.
You're clear?
Yeah.
Ready? All right. Here we go. Flip the tune with Janet Devlin, song number 1, and away we go.
This is my confessional. This is confessional.
It is. Oh my God, you're a beast. You're gonna kill this game already. Unbelievable. Look at you. You already did better than like half of the people. All right, let's do the next one.
Friday I'm in love.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. 2 for 2, Janet Devlin. Yeah, I mean, apologies for like, you should see. You should see like artists here. But anyway. All right. Let's go for the trifecta, Janet. Flip the tune, see if you can get perfect score. And away we go.
Kiss.
Yep.
Cool. I just wanted to make sure.
Unbelievable. Well, Janet, I mean, there's nothing to say. You are an amazing artist. We're so excited for everything that's going on with you. You look amazing. Your projects are amazing. We're proud of you. Rock on. Keep rocking. Thank you so much for your time, Janet.
No, thank you so much for having me and for having me back.
Absolutely. You're a friend of the show at this point. So absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
Take care.
Hey,
Bye.
bye. Bye.